She slapped him so hard that her hand tingled with pain. A sharp gasp filled the grand hall as echoes of that sudden strike ricocheted off the marble floor. In that tense moment, time seemed to slow down. Her eyes brimmed with tears, and her cheeks flamed from anger, hurt, and confusion. He was a tall, poised man with an air of wealth and power, yet he stood there, stunned, rubbing his cheek. She never thought she would raise her hand against anyone, let alone against someone as famous and as wealthy as him. But she had reached her limit. The shock was evident on his handsome face. He tried to speak, but no words came out at first. She was trembling, tears rolling down her cheeks, each tear carrying the weight of unspoken sorrow. She felt a storm inside her heart, a swirl of regret for losing control, yet she could not help it. His behavior had been too much, his words too cruel, or so she had thought in that heated second. The enormous chandelier overhead cast shimmering light on their figures, adding to the surreal atmosphere of this painful confrontation. She felt dizzy with emotion. All around them, guests at the charity gala froze, unsure of how to react. In elegant evening gowns and tailored suits, they stared with parted lips, waiting for the next move. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then, in one swift gesture, he stepped forward. His eyes were full of unspoken feelings, remorse, worry, and something else that she could not name. He took her shaking hands gently, pulling her closer to him. With surprising tenderness, he lowered his face and placed a firm, longing kiss on her lips. It was the last thing anyone expected. She stiffened, still in shock. Her tears fell even faster now. She wanted to push him away, to cling to her anger, to scream out every frustration that had built up in her life, but something in his kiss made her pause. It was soft and filled with an ache that spoke louder than any words. Around them, the glamorous onlookers forgot to breathe. Murmurs filled the room, whispers of scandal mixed with awe, and the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. The moment felt eternal. In the quiet that followed, she let out a shaky breath, tears still streaming down her cheeks. That single action, her slap, would change both their lives forever. Yet, in that silent hall with bright lights beaming down, he held her close, not letting her slip away. Though her heart still thundered with both hurt and confusion, she did not pull away. He tasted of sorrow and hope all at once, and in that stolen moment, as the guests at the gala began to talk in hurried whispers, their story truly began. 1 week earlier, everything had been calm in her world. Her name was Lily Porter. She lived in a modest apartment on the outskirts of the city. It was a simple place with 2 rooms, plain furniture and walls that needed a fresh coat of paint. She worked as an office assistant at a small marketing firm and earned just enough to pay her bills and help her younger sister with college fees. Life was not perfect, but it had a steady rhythm. Every morning, Lily woke up to the sound of traffic outside her window. She made herself a quick breakfast of toast and coffee. Then, she dashed to catch the bus that rattled through the narrow streets. Her days were filled with sorting files, typing up reports, and fetching coffee for her boss. At night, she returned home to watch a little TV or read a good book before drifting off to sleep. Sometimes, she sat by the small window in her living room and watched the moonlight spill over the quiet street below. Though she never complained, there was a part of her that felt incomplete. Lily wondered if she would ever find true love, or if she would spend her days alone in that old apartment. She was not shy, but she kept mostly to herself. She was the type of person who quietly dreamed big but rarely spoke those dreams out loud. Still, she had hope. She believed that if she worked hard and stayed kind, life might grant her something wonderful someday. She just did not know when or how. Meanwhile, Andrew Hamilton was the talk of the city. He was a self-made millionaire who had founded a booming technology startup at a young age. His company, Starwave Innovations, was valued at millions, and his face often appeared on business magazines. Born into a working-class family, Andrew had clawed his way up the ladder through endless nights of research and a fearless attitude toward business risks. People admired him, envied him, and sometimes even despised him for his success. Andrew had a reputation for being intense and very demanding. Those who worked under him described him as brilliant but tough. Although he was known to be fair in business deals, he was not big on gentle words. His focus was profit, growth, and results. Outside the boardroom, rumors circulated about his personal life. Some said he was arrogant. Others said he was lonely, but Andrew had grown used to speculation. He had built a thick wall around his heart, showing the world only a calm, confident face. Deep inside, Andrew wondered if he could ever trust someone again. A broken engagement in his past left him with scars. Since then, he filled his days with meetings, business trips, and board presentations. He drove fancy cars, wore designer suits, and threw the most lavish parties in the city. Yet, despite all the glamour, he felt an emptiness he could not quite define. Lily's life and Andrew's life first intersected on a sunny afternoon at the local mall. Lily had saved some money for a gift. Her younger sister, Hannah, was about to celebrate her 19th birthday, and Lily wanted to surprise her with a small gold locket. She walked into a jewelry store with a big smile, excited to choose the perfect piece that would hold Hannah's photo. Andrew happened to be in the same store, browsing through expensive watches. He had been invited to an awards ceremony and wanted something unique to wear. The moment Lily stepped in, he glanced at her reflection in the glass display and, for a split second, felt an odd calm. He could not explain why, but something about her simple attire and the gentle expression on her face caught his attention. She wore a simple blouse and jeans, her dark hair tied in a neat ponytail. She had no fancy purse or flashy jewelry. She was real, and her eyes shone with kindness. They did not speak at first. Lily was too busy admiring the lockets behind the glass. Andrew, on the other hand, pretended to study a watch, but his thoughts wandered to the woman standing a few feet away. After Lily finally selected a small gold locket, she moved to the cashier. She was about to pay when she noticed that the price was higher than she had expected. She froze, embarrassment flushing her cheeks. Lily rummaged through her wallet. She thought she had brought enough money, but apparently she was short by a small amount. Her face burned with shame, and she apologized to the store clerk. The clerk looked impatient, drumming his fingers on the counter. Lily sighed. She considered putting the locket back, but it was so perfect for Hannah. If only she had a little more time to save, or a small discount. Biting her lip, Lily tried to figure out what to do. Andrew had heard the conversation. With quiet steps, he approached the counter. Standing behind her, he felt a tug in his chest, perhaps pity, perhaps curiosity. He noticed the slight tremble in her hands and the sadness in her eyes. Without thinking twice, Andrew pulled out his wallet and handed the clerk the extra sum Lily did not have. Lily turned around in surprise. She saw this tall, well-dressed stranger offering money on her behalf. For a moment, she stood there. Warmth blossomed in her chest, but also discomfort. She did not want to accept help from a stranger. "No, please, you don't have to do that," she said softly. Andrew gave her a small, polite smile. "It's fine," he replied. "Consider it a small gift." The clerk took the money, rang up the purchase, and handed Lily the locket. She stood there, gripping the small box in her hand, unsure of what to say next. Part of her was grateful. Another part was uneasy. She never liked to be in anyone's debt, least of all a man whose expensive suit told her he was no ordinary passerby. She thanked him, cheeks warm, and hurried out of the store. She did not notice that in her flustered state, she dropped a tiny slip of paper from her pocket. Andrew saw it land on the floor. He stooped to pick it up and realized it was a crumpled bus ticket with a partial address scrawled on it. He glanced up, but by then, Lily had already disappeared into the crowd. Andrew stood there for a moment, staring after her. He slipped the piece of paper into his jacket pocket. He did not know her name. Yet there was something about her gentle voice and honest eyes that stayed with him. Perhaps it was the way she had refused his help at first. Perhaps it was the glow on her face when she was buying that gift for someone she clearly loved. All he knew was that he felt a small ache in his chest, a strange mixture of curiosity and longing. That evening, Lily returned to her apartment with the locket carefully tucked away. She felt guilty for letting a stranger pay the difference. It was not much, but it still bothered her. After changing into her comfortable clothes, she cooked a simple dinner pasta with tomato sauce. Hannah was still out with friends, and Lily found herself alone with her thoughts. She remembered the man who had helped her. She could still see the concern in his eyes. What did he think of her? She worried he might have seen her as just another desperate soul. Lily sighed. She resolved to find a way to repay that money, even if it took time. It was not about pride alone. She simply believed in being fair. The city was huge, and she did not know if she would ever bump into him again. Still, the memory of his kindness weighed on her. She carried that feeling with her as she finished her meal and settled down with a book. But her mind kept wandering back to him, wondering who he was and why he had stepped in to help a total stranger. Across town, Andrew sat in his spacious penthouse, gazing out at the glittering city skyline. The penthouse was a modern marvel, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a panoramic view of skyscrapers and distant lights. He had poured himself a glass of wine but had barely touched it. The bus ticket with Lily's partial address lay on the coffee table, a tiny clue to her identity. Andrew did not know why he held on to it. Maybe because it was unusual for him to be so drawn to a person he had only seen once. He usually avoided personal entanglements. He had a demanding career and did not believe in wasting time on fleeting attractions. Yet, the memory of Lily's teary eyes in the jewelry store stirred something deep in him. He picked up the slip of paper again, studying the faint writing. It was difficult to make out the full address. It seemed to point to a neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. He wondered if he should try to find her. He had resources. It would not be hard to locate her if he truly wanted to. But why should he? He did not even know her name. Would she even appreciate him seeking her out? Perhaps not. Still, Andrew could not shake the feeling that this chance meeting mattered, so he decided to slip the paper into a drawer in his home office. A quiet promise to himself that if fate gave him a chance, he would see her again. He was not sure what he wanted from her, maybe just to see her smile and be sure she was all right. All he knew was that, for the first time in a while, he felt something beyond the usual rush of business dealings and social obligations. Days passed. Lily's routine returned to normal, except she kept an eye out whenever she was on the bus or in the mall, half hoping she might see the kind stranger again. She tried to push the thought aside, telling herself it was silly to yearn for another encounter. Yet, deep down, she held onto a small spark of hope. Her job at the marketing firm grew more demanding. Her boss complained about a drop in sales, and the staff was under pressure to come up with fresh ideas. Lily had good suggestions, but she was shy about sharing them. She was just an assistant after all. She typed up briefs, organized folders, and made sure the coffee machine was stocked. Still, she watched her colleagues struggle and thought she might be able to help. One afternoon, Lily stayed late at the office, determined to do some extra research. She had heard about an upcoming technology conference in the city. If her firm managed to connect with leading figures at that event, It could bring in potential clients. She drafted a proposal, detailing how they could present a marketing pitch to tech innovators and entrepreneurs. She was not sure if her boss would even read it, but she had to try. That same evening, Andrew was finalizing the guest list for a major charity gala his company was sponsoring. The event would raise funds for underprivileged children who needed access to modern technology in schools. Andrew believed in giving back, having once been a kid with big dreams and limited means. He spared no expense in planning the event. It would be held at the city's grandest hotel, complete with a stunning ballroom, fine dining, and an auction of unique items. As Andrew flipped through the list of invitees, he noticed the marketing firm's name. They had worked with one of his smaller companies in the past. He did not think much of it, but his gaze lingered on that name. He wondered if that random encounter at the jewelry store could somehow link back to this firm. It was a stretch, but the city was full of surprises. The day of the tech conference arrived. Lily's firm sent a small team to attend, hoping to scout for new opportunities. By some stroke of fate, Andrew was also scheduled to be a keynote speaker at the same conference. He would talk about the future of innovation and how businesses could adapt to changing technology trends. Lily was not invited to sit in on the sessions. Her boss had asked her to wait near the registration desk to assist with handing out brochures. Standing by a stack of marketing materials, Lily watched as people streamed in: entrepreneurs, investors, software developers, and journalists. She felt a bit out of place in her simple blouse and skirt. Everyone else seemed dressed to impress, wearing polished shoes and carrying sleek laptops. Suddenly, applause roared through the hall. Andrew Hamilton had arrived. Lily had heard his name before. He was famous in the world of startups. She watched from a distance as he took the stage, addressing the crowd with confidence. Even from afar, his presence was striking. He spoke about innovation and social responsibility, his voice rich and clear. Lily found herself captivated by his words, though she remained at the outskirts, handing out brochures to latecomers. During the break, people flocked to Andrew, eager to shake his hand or introduce themselves. He smiled politely, asking questions about their work, taking business cards. Lily watched him from behind the registration table. She thought he looked oddly familiar, but she could not place where she had seen him before. Then again, she had only briefly seen the man at the jewelry store, and he had not revealed his name. Andrew scanned the crowd absent-mindedly. His mind drifted to the charity gala preparations and 1,000 other tasks. Then, in the midst of all those faces, he spotted her. It was a moment of recognition that jolted him. She was the woman from the jewelry store, the one whose bus ticket he had kept. Her hair was still pulled back in a neat ponytail. She stood quietly, holding out brochures, looking a bit lost among the flashy professionals. His heart did a small flip. He excused himself from the group of eager networkers and made his way toward her. With each step, he felt his pulse quicken, uncertain of how she would react. Would she remember him? Would she be angry that he had stepped in to pay for her purchase? He couldn't be sure. Lily did not notice Andrew until he was only a few feet away. She looked up and felt her eyes widen in surprise. There he was, the kind stranger from the jewelry store. But now he stood in front of her, dressed in a crisp suit that shouted success. "It's you," Andrew said gently, his tone free of judgment. "We met at the mall, remember?" Lily swallowed hard, nodding. "Yes," she replied in a small voice. "I remember. Thank you for what you did that day." She felt a rush of heat flood her cheeks. She realized now that this man was Andrew Hamilton, the tech giant. She had read about him, even seen photos of him in business articles. She felt even more embarrassed. "I'm sorry I just ran off that day. I tried to repay you, but you were gone." Andrew gave a light shrug. "It's all right," he said with a kind smile. I didn't do it expecting anything in return. You mentioned wanting to repay me, but honestly it was a small sum. Don't worry about it." Lily looked down at the brochures in her arms. She felt a mixture of relief and renewed guilt. She was not comfortable with the idea of owing anyone, no matter how small the amount. But his kind eyes put her at ease. "I'd still like to. Maybe I can buy you a coffee sometime?" she offered tentatively. Andrew grinned, surprising even himself. He rarely had time for casual meetups, but something about her invitation felt genuine. "All right," he agreed softly. "I'd like that." They decided on a nearby cafe during the lunch break. Lily's colleagues were too absorbed in networking to notice her brief departure. She and Andrew slipped into a small cafe across the street. It was quiet, with warm lights and the smell of fresh pastries. They found a corner table and sat down. Lily ordered 2 coffees and, with trembling hands, tried to hand him some money to cover what he had paid at the jewelry store. Andrew gently pushed her hand away. "Keep it," he said. "I helped you because I wanted to." Lily hesitated. She felt both gratitude and a twinge of annoyance. She had hoped to settle the debt. "I don't want to feel like I owe you," she said softly, lowering her gaze. Andrew leaned forward, resting his elbows on the small table. "Then do me a favor," he suggested. "If you really want to repay me, help someone else when you can. Pass the kindness on. That's all I ask." Lily looked at him, surprised. She did not expect that answer. It was a simple request, yet it spoke volumes about who he was inside. With a small nod, she agreed. A gentle silence fell between them as their coffees arrived. As they sipped their drinks, Lily asked him about his speech. He explained a bit about his company, his vision for bridging the gap between technology and social causes. Lily listened intently, impressed by how he wanted to use his success to help others. She had assumed he was just another wealthy businessman, but she was discovering a depth in him that intrigued her. Andrew in turn asked Lily about her life. She described her job, her modest apartment, and her younger sister. She spoke of how she tried to save money for Hannah's college, and how sometimes it felt overwhelming. Andrew listened carefully, feeling a tug in his heart as she talked about her family struggles. It reminded him of his own humble beginnings. He respected her determination. They finished their coffees, and Lily glanced at the time. She needed to get back to the conference, or her boss would worry. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. Andrew also rose, looking reluctant to leave, yet he understood that they both had obligations. Before they parted ways, Andrew asked if she might attend his company's charity gala the next week. Lily blinked in surprise, feeling a rush of nerves. She had never attended such an event before. "I'm not sure if I could," she admitted. "I don't have anything fancy to wear or—" Andrew shook his head. "As my guest, you don't need to worry about a dress code. Come as you are if that's what makes you comfortable. But if you want to dress up, I can help arrange something. I'd like to see you there." Lily blushed. She thought of how out of place she might feel in a grand ballroom, but the quiet sincerity in his eyes made her consider saying yes. After a few moments of hesitation, she nodded, heart pounding at the thought of stepping into his world, even briefly. Word spread around Lily's office that Andrew Hamilton, the keynote speaker, had actually sat with Lily during the break. Some of her co-workers teased her, while others were curious about what they had talked about. Lily just shrugged it off, unwilling to turn it into a big story. Inside, she felt a nervous excitement building. Was it foolish to think that maybe, just maybe, a true connection was forming between them? It was too early to tell, yet she could not deny the flutter in her stomach when she recalled their conversation. That evening, as she prepared a simple dinner, Lily daydreamed about the upcoming gala. She pictured tall pillars, glittering chandeliers, and tables laden with fancy food she had never heard of before. She worried about how she would afford an appropriate dress, She doubted Andrew really meant she could show up in jeans and a simple blouse. No matter what he had said, there was a part of her that did not want to embarrass him. As she ate alone, she thought of maybe borrowing something from a friend, but she had few friends with money or elegant wardrobes. They all lived in the same working-class area and wore practical clothes for day-to-day life. Still, she decided she would find a way. She would not let fear or insecurity stop her from going. There was a pull in her heart, guiding her to see him again. In the days leading up to the gala, Andrew found himself looking forward to it more than ever. Usually, such events felt routine to him, just another business function where he was expected to deliver a speech, smile for photos, and mingle with people who wanted his backing or his signature on a check. But this time, the thought of Lily attending made the night feel special. He sent her a polite text to confirm the details, offering help if she needed anything. Lily responded with thanks and assured him she would manage. In truth, she was still unsure how she would find a suitable dress. She considered calling her childhood friend, Danielle, who worked at a small boutique, to see if she could borrow or rent something nice. On the morning of the gala, Lily woke up with butterflies dancing in her stomach. She had managed to borrow a long midnight blue dress from Danielle. It was simple yet elegant, with thin straps and a flowing skirt. It was a bit loose around the waist, so Lily had done some quick stitches to tighten it. She practiced doing her hair, trying to style it in a way that looked more formal. When evening rolled around, Lily took a deep breath, slipped into the dress, and applied light makeup. She was not used to wearing much makeup, so she stuck to a subtle looksome mascara, a hint of blush, and a soft pink lipstick. She looked at herself in the mirror and hardly recognized the reflection. She was still Lily, but there was a fresh glow in her eyes. A small hope flickered in her heart that tonight could be the start of something new in her life. She took a taxi to the Grand Hotel in the city center. The ride felt like it lasted forever, her thoughts bouncing between excitement and fear. When the taxi pulled up to the entrance, Lily nearly lost her nerve. The hotel was enormous, with marble columns and twinkling lights that stretched into the night sky. Valets in crisp uniforms opened car doors for guests, and couples in designer outfits walked up the red-carpeted steps. Lily's heart pounded. She took a moment to steady herself before stepping out of the taxi. Inside, the hotel's lobby was breathtaking. Tall ceilings, golden railings, and polished floors that reflected the glow of crystal chandeliers. Lily followed the signs to the ballroom, feeling as though she were walking into a fairy tale. Everything sparkled: the floors, the walls, even the people seemed to glisten with glamour. Waiters in black and white uniforms glided among the guests, offering trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Lily clutched her tiny purse, scanning the crowd for Andrew. She felt out of place in this sea of elegance, but she stood tall and tried to remind herself that Andrew had invited her. She had as much right to be there as anyone else, even if she was not rich or famous. Andrew spotted her the moment she entered. He had been speaking with a group of investors, but his attention instantly shifted to the door. Lily stood there, looking both nervous and radiant in her midnight blue dress. He excused himself politely and walked over, feeling his heart rate pick up with every step. When he reached her, he smiled, a warmth shining in his eyes. "You came," he said softly. Lily nodded, her cheeks glowing. "Thank you for inviting me," she replied. Her voice trembled with a mix of nerves and excitement. Andrew offered his arm, and she hesitated for only a second before gently placing her hand on it. He guided her through the crowd, introducing her briefly to a few people, then led her to a quieter corner near a grand piano. Soft music filled the air, and she felt her anxieties begin to settle under his reassuring presence. They talked about small things at first, Andrew told her about the charities Millionaire provide computers and tablets to underfunded schools. Lily mentioned how she believed technology could open doors for kids who might otherwise never see beyond their neighborhoods. It was a light, easy conversation, but there was an undercurrent of growing closeness between them. People milled around, sometimes stopping to greet Andrew. He was gracious, introducing Lily as a friend. Still, a few eyes lingered on her dress, and the way Andrew's gaze seemed to rest on her. She blushed under their silent questions. Dinner began, and everyone took their seats around large, round tables. The centerpieces were bouquets of exotic flowers, and the china was the finest porcelain. Lily found herself seated next to Andrew, who continued to give her gentle reassurance whenever she seemed anxious. He poured her water, passed her the breadbasket, and exchanged small smiles that eased her tense shoulders. When the main course arrived, Lily tried not to show how impressed she was by the gourmet dishes. She savored each bite, thinking she had never tasted anything so exquisite. She noticed Andrew barely touched his own meal, more focused on ensuring she was comfortable. After dinner, an auction took place, raising funds for the charity. Items ranged from vacation packages to rare art pieces. Andrew even offered a private tour of his company's headquarters, which sold for a generous sum to a well-known philanthropist. Lily watched in amazement as people bid thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, without blinking. She had never been around such wealth before, and it felt surreal. Yet, through it all, Andrew stayed by her side, quietly explaining how the auction worked, who the major donors were, and why this cause mattered to him. His dedication touched Lily deeply. She realized he was not just another business mogul. He was a man who cared. Near the end of the night, a small band began to play gentle music for dancing. A few couples ventured onto the dance floor. Andrew turned to Lily, a spark of hope in his eyes. "Would you like to dance?" he asked, his voice low. Lily hesitated, gazing at the twirling figures on the floor. She was not very good at formal dancing, but seeing the encouragement in his eyes, she nodded shyly. "Yes," she said, her heart thudding in her chest. Andrew led her to the dance floor, placing one hand lightly around her waist and holding her other hand in his. The music was slow, and Lily tried to keep up, focusing on his soft steps as he guided her in gentle circles. The room faded away, leaving only the two of them in a soft glow of mutual discovery. As the dance ended, Andrew leaned in and whispered, "Thank you for coming tonight. You've made this evening." Lily felt her cheeks burn. She did not know how to reply, so she just smiled, letting the moment linger in the warm hush of the ballroom. She had not imagined she would ever dance in such a grand place, let alone feel so calm in the arms of a man like Andrew Hamilton. But every fairy tale moment seems to hold a hidden test. As Andrew guided Lily off the dance floor, a group of people approached him, some investors and a well-known journalist. They greeted Lily politely, though their eyes seemed to measure her from head to toe. Andrew introduced her simply by her first name, not offering many details. One of the investors made a passing remark about ordinary folks, and how nice it was that Andrew kept a wide circle of acquaintances. Lily felt a stab of self-consciousness. Andrew quickly changed the subject, smoothly steering the conversation to business matters, but Lily could not shake off the sting of that comment. She felt out of place again, reminded that she was just an office assistant from a modest neighborhood. Still, Andrew's gentle hand pressed warmly against her back, offering comfort and reminding her she was not alone. By midnight, the gala drew to a close. People started to leave, some lingering in the foyer to chat or finalize donations. Andrew insisted on taking Lily home, claiming it was too late for her to catch a bus or a cab by herself. She agreed, knowing it would be safer. They slipped into the back seat of his sleek, black car. The driver nodded in greeting as Andrew gave him Lily's address. During the ride, Lily looked out the tinted window at the quiet streets. The city lights glowed softly, casting reflections on the car's polished interior. Andrew sat next to her, not speaking for a while. The hum of the engine filled the silence. Finally he turned to her, his voice gentle. She turned her head, meeting his gaze. "It was amazing," she admitted. "I've never been to an event like that. Thank you for inviting me, and for making me feel welcome." Andrew's lips curved into a soft smile. "I'm the one who should thank you, Lily. It meant a lot that you came." They held each other's gaze for a moment that felt charged with unspoken promises. Lily's heart fluttered. She felt that the car was not just taking her back to her apartment, but perhaps carrying her forward into a new, unpredictable chapter of her life. When they arrived at Lily's building, she felt a pinch of embarrassment at the chipped paint and flickering hallway light. Andrew seemed not to notice or care. He stepped out of the car with her, insisting on walking her to the front door for safety. The driver waited patiently at the curb. Under the dim light of the entrance, Lily turned to face him. She held her tiny purse in front of her, fidgeting with the clasp. "Andrew, I just want to say that I really appreciate your kindness. I don't know why you decided to help me that day at the mall, or why you invited me tonight, but thank you." Andrew stared down at her, a tenderness in his expression. "You make me remember things I'd long forgotten," he said quietly. "You remind me of what it's like to connect with someone without all the pretenses. I enjoy being around you. That's reason enough, isn't it?" Lily felt her eyes sting with sudden emotion. She nodded, unsure of how to respond. A swirl of feelings rose inside her: gratitude, hope, and a certain longing she had not felt in years. She saw Andrew step closer, his hand lifting as if to brush her cheek. Her breath caught in her throat. But in that moment, a neighbor opened the front door, letting out a clanging sound. Andrew lowered his hand with a small, lopsided grin. "I'll let you rest," he said. "We can talk soon?" Lily agreed. She watched him walk back to the car, her heart thumping as the vehicle pulled away into the night. She stood there for a long while, replaying the evening in her mind, before finally stepping into her worn apartment building and heading upstairs. In the days that followed, Lily and Andrew exchanged a few texts and calls. They found it surprisingly easy to talk about everyday things: work stress, funny incidents, or favorite foods. One morning, Andrew sent her a photo of a small garden he had once tried to grow on his penthouse balcony. "I guess I don't have a green thumb," he wrote, showing limp leaves and drooping stems. Lily laughed out loud in her office, replying with playful suggestions to help him keep his plants alive. Their friendship blossomed like that, slowly but steadily. Neither of them named what was happening between them, but both felt the pull that grows when two hearts share honest moments. It was not about money or status. When they spoke, they were just Andrew and Lily, two people trying to figure out life. However, whispers began to circulate in certain social circles. A tabloid columnist spotted Andrew dining with Lily at a small, cozy restaurant. The columnist wrote a piece titled, "Tech Mogul's Mystery Woman, Who Is She?" The article was not too harsh, but it called Lily a plain nobody and speculated on how long the fling would last. Andrew was furious when he read it. Lily was humiliated. Andrew tried to reassure her that it did not matter, that people talked nonsense all the time, but Lily could not shake the self-doubt. She worried that she was jeopardizing Andrew's reputation by being seen with him. She even thought of ending whatever it was that had begun between them, to spare him any further gossip. That night, she voiced her concerns during a phone call. Andrew's tone was firm. "Don't let strangers define your worth," he said. "They don't know you. They see only what they want to see. If you feel uncomfortable, I understand." His words were like a balm on her insecurity. She felt her eyes fill with tears. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I just don't want to be a burden or a source of trouble for you." "You're not," Andrew insisted. "You're the opposite." Still, the gossip did not die down. Photos of them began circulating online, her smiling up at him while they waited for a taxi. The two of them exiting a cafe, Andrew holding the door open for her at an office building. The tabloids spun their own tales. Some called Lily a gold digger. Others suggested Andrew was only amusing himself with a short-lived fling. It seemed like every day there was a new rumor. Lily tried to ignore it, but it wore on her. At her office, people whispered behind her back. Some congratulated her, saying she had caught a big fish. Others made snide remarks about how she must have used her sweet demeanor to land a rich boyfriend. It stung. Lily had always prided herself on being independent, and now people viewed her through this cynical lens. Andrew, sensing her distress, tried to protect her. He assigned part of his corporate PR team to quietly handle any slanderous tabloids. He tried to keep their outings low-key, avoiding flashy restaurants or events. But no matter how much they tried to hide, someone always seemed to snap a photo. Lily grew anxious and started withdrawing from him. She canceled plans, citing long work hours or family matters. One evening, Andrew decided enough was enough. He drove to her apartment unannounced, holding a bouquet of pale pink roses. He knocked on her door, and after a hesitant pause, she opened it. Her eyes were red, as though she had been crying. Without waiting for an invitation, Andrew stepped in, gently shutting the door behind him. "Lily," he said, a worried look on his face. "Please, don't shut me out." She blinked, tears returning. "It's too hard," she whispered. "All these stories, the way people look at me, talk about me, I can't handle it. I'm just a simple person, Andrew. I'm not cut out for life in the spotlight." Andrew set the flowers aside and took her hands in his. "I'm sorry," he said earnestly. "I never wanted to cause you pain. Believe me, if I could make all this vanish, I would. But I can't change who I am, or the attention that follows me. All I can do is stand by you and ask you to stand by me, if that's what you want." His vulnerability broke her heart. She could see the turmoil in his eyes, the fear that she might leave. Lily exhaled shakily. "I don't want to lose you," she managed. "I'm just so scared that I can't live up to what the world expects of someone in your life." Andrew brushed a tear from her cheek. "I don't care about their expectations," he said. "I only care about you. Please, give us a chance." So Lily did. She let him hold her, and she sobbed into his shoulder, releasing the frustration that had built over the past weeks. Andrew stroked her hair, whispering soft reassurances until her tears subsided. They spent the evening talking about their worries, dreams, and the hope that together they might overcome the hurdles. By the time Andrew left, Lily felt lighter. She still had doubts, but there was a renewed resolve in her heart. If he was willing to fight for what they had, then maybe she could find the courage as well. After all, true love, if that was indeed what they were building, was worth the struggle. In the following weeks, they grew closer. Andrew found small ways to blend into Lily's world. He visited her apartment to watch movies and eat takeaway pizza. He brought her fresh flowers from time to time, choosing lilies, not because it was her name, but because he said their simplicity reminded him of her pure spirit. Sometimes, he would drive her and Hannah to the grocery store, chatting with Hannah about college. At the same time, Lily made efforts to learn about Andrew's corporate life. She asked questions about his business, trying to understand his projects. She even attended a few more tech events with him, standing quietly by his side, offering moral support as he spoke on stage. He always introduced her with pride, ignoring the curious stares. Over time, some of the rumors died down, replaced by fresh gossip about other socialites. The tabloids never completely forgot about them, but they moved on to new headlines. One bright afternoon, Lily received a call from Andrew that left her stunned. "My mother's birthday is next week," he said. "She's coming to the city, and I'm hosting a small family gathering. I'd like you to come and meet her." Lily felt her pulse race. Meeting the family was a serious step. Andrew explained that his parents had moved to a quieter town after he became successful, preferring a simple life away from the city's hustle. His mother visited him once in a while, and he loved surprising her with gatherings. Lily hesitated. She worried about whether his family would accept her. Andrew sensed her anxiety. "You'll be fine," he assured her. "My mother is kind." With a trembling heart, Lily agreed. She did not want to miss this important occasion in Andrew's life. She sensed that this was a sign of how much he valued their relationship. The day arrived, and Andrew picked Lily up in his car. She wore a pretty floral dress, modest yet cheerful. She clutched a small gift for his mother, a box of homemade cookies she had baked that morning. Andrew parked outside a lovely house in a charming neighborhood. The yard was decorated with balloons and a sign that said, "Happy Birthday, Margaret." Inside, laughter and chatter filled the living room. Relatives milled around, some sipping wine, others nibbling on snacks. Andrew's mother was seated in an armchair, smiling as she received good wishes from everyone. She had the same bright eyes as Andrew, though hers were lined with gentle wrinkles. Andrew guided Lily forward, a hand lightly on the small of her back. "Mom, this is Lily," he said, his voice brimming with affection. "Lily, meet my mother, Margaret Hamilton." Margaret stood, her gaze warm. She took Lily's hands in hers. "I've heard lovely things about you," she said. "Thank you for coming." Lily relaxed a bit, offering the box of cookies. "Happy birthday, Mrs. Hamilton. I hope you like these. I baked them this morning." Margaret's eyes lit up. "Please, call me Margaret," she insisted. "And thank you. I love homemade gifts." She gave Lily's hands a gentle squeeze. "Make yourself at home, dear." That simple, welcoming gesture melted Lily's worries. The party was cozy and filled with genuine warmth. Andrew's father had passed away years ago, so Margaret treasured moments like these. Lily found herself surrounded by Andrew's aunts, uncles, and a couple of cousins. They were curious about her, but not in a harsh way. Margaret proudly introduced Lily around, ignoring the few stares that lingered on Lily's modest attire. At one point, Margaret pulled Andrew aside and whispered, "She seems sweet. Are you serious about her?" Andrew glanced across the room at Lily, who was shyly chatting with one of his aunts. His chest swelled with a feeling so profound it nearly took his breath away. "Yes," he answered simply. "I am." Margaret smiled, patting his cheek. "I can see it in your eyes, darling. She's good for you." After the party ended, Lily helped clean up the plates and cups, refusing to let Margaret do all the work. Andrew followed her into the kitchen, watching in amusement as Lily insisted on washing dishes. Margaret sat in the dining room, opening her birthday cards. Once the kitchen was tidy, Lily offered to take out the trash. Andrew tried to protest, but she grabbed the garbage bag with a giggle, saying, "You're too used to fancy help. Let me handle normal tasks." Outside, the sun was setting, casting a soft glow over the quiet street. Lily carried the bag to the trash bins at the edge of the driveway. As she closed the lid, a figure stepped out of a sleek car parked nearby. Lily froze when she recognized the woman Emily Pearson, a well-known influencer who was rumored to have dated Andrew in the past. Emily was tall, with a flawless complexion and hair that looked professionally styled. She wore designer clothes and high heels. Her eyes flicked over Lily, a hint of disdain visible in her expression. "So, you must be the new girl," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. Lily tensed, hugging her arms protectively. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Emily sauntered closer, her gaze cold. Andrew's new flavor of the month, right? She let out a laugh that sounded more cruel than amused. I was driving by to see if Andrew was home. Didn't expect a little party. Too bad I wasn't invited. Lily felt her heart pound. He's with his family, she said quietly. It's his mother's birthday. Emily shrugged as if she didn't care, but her eyes glinted with jealousy. Andrew and I have some unfinished business, she declared. You should know he drops women easily. Don't think you're special. Once he's bored, he'll move on. Lily's cheeks burned. She did not want to get into an argument, especially not here. She tried to keep her voice steady. That's between Andrew and you. If you'll excuse me, I need to go back inside. Emily snorted and turned on her heel, heading back to her car. Lily forced herself to walk calmly toward the house, but the moment she reached the door, tears pricked her eyes. She brushed them away before anyone could see. That evening, as they drove home, Lily was unusually quiet. Andrew noticed, asking if anything was wrong. At first, Lily shook her head, not wanting to cause drama. But when he pressed gently, she admitted she had seen Emily. Andrew frowned, gripping the steering wheel tighter. Emily and I dated years ago, he explained. It ended badly because she was more interested in my bank account than in me. Since then, she's tried to weasel her way back whenever she hears a rumor about me dating someone else. I'm sorry you had to meet her. Lily kept her gaze on the passing streetlights. She said some unpleasant things, she murmured. I know I shouldn't let them get to me, but I can't help feeling a bit insecure. Andrew reached for her hand, resting it over his thigh. Don't believe a word she says, he assured. I'm with you because I want to be. Nothing Emily does will change that. Please trust me. Lily squeezed his hand. I do trust you, she said, but her voice wavered slightly. Insecurities were not so easy to banish. In the weeks that followed, Lily tried to bury her doubts. Andrew showered her with affection-small gifts, heartfelt notes, and frequent calls just to say he missed her voice. He even invited Hannah to a play in the city, wanting Lily's younger sister to see him as more than just a wealthy man in a suit. Hannah returned from that outing gushing about how sweet Andrew was, how he bought them popcorn and did not complain about the cheesy scenes in the play. Lily felt a warm glow each time she thought of Andrew's efforts to blend into her life. Yet, the voice of doubt still lingered, partly fueled by her own belief that she did not quite fit into his world. Andrew sensed this, but hoped that time and genuine devotion would chase away her fears. Then came the night of the charity ball. It was a significant event hosted by another major corporation, but Andrew was invited as a guest of honor. He asked Lily to attend with him, wanting her by his side. Lily agreed, though she felt the usual nerves about stepping into a high society environment. She wore a graceful silver gown this time, borrowed from Danielle again. She pinned her hair up, leaving a few soft strands to frame her face. Andrew picked her up in his sleek car, looking dashing in a classic tuxedo. The drive was filled with laughter and light flirting. They arrived at a grand hotel ballroom, larger than the one Andrew had used for his own gala. Cameras flashed at the entrance, capturing the arrival of prominent guests. Lily clung to Andrew's arm as they walked the red carpet, trying to keep her smile steady. Inside, the space was dazzling. Long tables draped with white cloth, towering flower arrangements, and shimmering chandeliers. A live orchestra played waltzes, adding to the romantic atmosphere. Lily felt her breath catch as Andrew led her deeper into the room, introducing her to a few business acquaintances. For the first hour, everything went smoothly. They mingled, sipped champagne, and found their seats among CEOs and politicians. Lily was quiet but polite, answering questions about her work without revealing how ordinary it was compared to those around her. She felt Andrew's comforting presence, a silent reassurance that she belonged with him. Things took a turn for the worse when Emily appeared yet again. Lily spotted her gliding into the ballroom, wearing a flashy red gown. She was on the arm of a prominent investor, but her eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on Andrew. Her lips curled in a knowing smile. Lily's heart sank. Throughout the evening, Emily lingered nearby. She made snide comments about Lily's background whenever she got a chance, though she did so under her breath. Andrew tried to steer clear, but Emily seemed determined to provoke. At one point, she cornered Lily near the powder room. "You know," she sneered, "Andrew loves challenges. Once you stop being a challenge, he'll get bored. Trust me, I speak from experience." Lily stood there, anger and hurt warring within her. She knew she should walk away, but she could not keep quiet forever. "Andrew is not the man he was when you dated him. And whatever your experience, it has nothing to do with us." Emily laughed, flipping her glossy hair. "He's still a millionaire with a wandering eye. He's just having his fun with you. Don't be naive." The words sliced through Lily's heart. She felt her cheeks heat up, tears pricking the corner of her eyes, but she refused to break down in front of Emily. Lily tried to avoid Emily after that, focusing on Andrew and trying to enjoy the ball. But the tension brewed inside her, like a storm waiting to break. She felt her composure unraveling little by little. Andrew noticed her discomfort, asking if she wanted to leave early. She shook her head, not wanting to spoil his night. Then, just when Lily thought she could hold herself together, Emily approached her and Andrew with a smirk. She placed a hand on Andrew's arm, ignoring Lily completely. "Andrew, darling," she purred, "I was just telling some friends about the crazy weekends we used to have. Remember those nights on your yacht? So wild." Andrew gently removed her hand from his arm. "That was a long time ago," he said, his tone polite but cold. Emily's gaze flicked to Lily. "I wonder if Lily knows all about those times, or about that ring you once offered me." Her voice was loud enough for people nearby to hear. A hush fell over the small group that had gathered. Lily felt their curious stares. Andrew's jaw tightened. "Emily, that's enough. I have moved on." Emily let out a mocking laugh. "Have you? Or are you just playing house with your new pet project?" It was the final blow to Lily's trembling self-control. She felt a surge of pain and humiliation. Before she knew it, her hand swung up and landed a stinging slap on Emily's cheek. The sound was sharp, ringing in the suddenly silent air. Emily's eyes went wide with shock. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. Lily stood there, her hand shaking, tears rushing to her eyes. She could not believe what she had just done. But Emily's taunts, her cruelty, had pushed Lily beyond her breaking point. Andrew quickly stepped forward, his protective instinct flaring. Emily held her cheek, glaring daggers at Lily. "How dare you?" she spat. "You'll regret this." Lily was overcome with tears, mortified and furious all at once. She turned to run, pushing past the gathering crowd, ignoring their stunned faces. Andrew called her name, but she could barely hear it through the roar in her head. The lavish corridor outside the ballroom blurred as Lily dashed away, tears spilling down her cheeks. She reached a quiet hallway, pressing herself against a wall, struggling to breathe. Her entire body trembled. She felt a raw, ripping sensation inside, as if she had exposed the most vulnerable parts of herself for all to see. Moments later, she heard swift footsteps behind her. Andrew's voice came softly. She turned to face him, tears streaking her makeup. He saw the anguish on her face and instantly pulled her into his arms. She cried against his chest, feeling the warmth of his embrace soothe her ragged breaths. He stroked her hair, whispering, "I'm so sorry. I should have done more to keep Emily away." Lily shook her head, words stuck in her throat. She felt guilty, ashamed, and still so angry. She had slapped someone something she never thought herself capable of doing. I can't believe I did that," she finally managed. Andrew kissed the top of her head, his voice gentle. "She pushed you too far. It's not your fault. Let's get out of here, okay? We don't need to stay." Lily nodded, still shaking. Andrew guided her through the side exit, away from the prying eyes. They found themselves in a dimly lit courtyard. Tall hedges and a night sky gave them some privacy. Lily stood there, breathing in the cool air, trying to collect herself. Andrew took off his jacket and placed it around Lily's shoulders, shielding her from the chill. She clutched it close, her tears slowing. He turned her to face him, wiping away the last streaks of mascara with a gentle thumb. "I'm sorry," Lily whispered. Andrew's eyes glowed with concern. "You didn't ruin anything. I only care that you're okay." She stared at him, searching for any sign of disgust or disappointment, but all she saw was compassion, a sob caught in her throat. "I was so angry, and I didn't know how else to stop her hurtful words." Andrew cupped her face in his hands, leaning down so their foreheads touched. "I understand," he said quietly. "Emily wanted to provoke you. She succeeded. But that doesn't change how I feel about you." Lily felt a swirl of relief and sorrow. She burst into fresh tears, only this time they were tears of release. Andrew pulled her even closer, his lips finding hers in a slow, comforting kiss. It was a kiss filled with unspoken vows, a promise that he would stand by her no matter the storm. They stayed like that for a few moments, hidden in the shadows of the courtyard. The muffled sound of music from the ballroom drifted through the walls, but it felt like another world. In that safe bubble, Lily felt her heartbreak begin to mend, replaced by a soft bloom of hope. Finally, they pulled apart. Andrew rested his forehead on hers, breathing unsteadily. She followed, feeling the warmth of his hand clasped around hers. They drove back to Lily's apartment in silence. Andrew kept one hand firmly in hers while steering with the other. Lily gazed at his profile, feeling a mix of gratitude and lingering sadness. She knew this night would leave a mark on her memory, but at least she had him by her side, and that thought eased the pain. When they arrived at her place, Lily glanced at him, not sure how to say goodnight. Andrew turned off the engine and shifted to face her, eyes reflecting the faint glow from a street lamp. "Would you like me to stay?" he asked gently. "I don't want you to be alone tonight." Lily hesitated. She rarely let anyone stay over. She valued her privacy. But tonight, she felt fragile and tired, her emotions still raw. She nodded. "Yes, please," she whispered. "If you don't mind." Andrew shook his head. "I don't mind." They went inside, and Lily offered him the couch. She grabbed a spare blanket and pillow, trying not to feel self-conscious about her small, worn-out living room. But Andrew didn't seem bothered. He smiled in thanks, pulling her into one last hug before letting her go to her bedroom. That night, Lily slept fitfully, replaying the slap over and over in her mind. She felt guilty for losing control, but also relieved that she had finally stood up for herself. She wondered what new rumors would spawn from this incident. Yet, each time worry pricked at her, she remembered Andrew's arms around her, offering calm and safety. Morning light streamed through the curtains. Lily woke to the smell of coffee. She got up. Andrew was in the small kitchen, attempting to make breakfast. He wore the same clothes from the night before, minus his jacket. She felt a surge of tenderness at the sight of him looking slightly awkward in her cramped kitchen. He turned and grinned sheepishly. "I tried to make coffee," he said, pointing to a mug on the counter. "I might have messed up your machine." Lily stifled a laugh, touched by the gesture. She picked up the mug, taking a careful sip. "It's actually good," she said, smiling. Andrew exhaled in relief. Thank goodness. They sat together at her small table. eating toast with butter. It was a simple meal, but it felt intimate. Lily felt the tension from last night ease a bit, replaced by the comfort of his presence. Andrew cleared his throat. "I know last night was difficult," he said quietly, "but I want you to know I support you. If you want to talk about it, or if you need some space, I understand." Lily touched his hand softly. "Thank you. I do feel embarrassed about slapping Emily. That's not who I am." He squeezed her hand. "You reached a limit. It happens. But if Emily dares to bother you again, you let me handle it, okay?" Lily nodded, relieved. She appreciated how calm he remained despite the drama. She realized then that while they lived in different worlds, they could find common ground in these moments of genuine care. In the following days, news of the slap did, indeed, spread. A few tabloids picked it up, spinning the story in various ways. Some labeled Lily as hot-tempered, others took her side, hinting that Emily had provoked her. Andrew's PR team worked quietly to minimize the gossip, and Emily soon found another scandal to chase. Over time, the uproar subsided. Lily returned to her regular routine, though the memory of that night still weighed on her. Andrew stood beside her, encouraging her not to let this incident define her. He continued to show up for her in small ways, sending supportive texts, dropping by to take her out for late-night ice cream runs, or even surprising her with flowers at work. As the weeks passed, Lily felt her bond with Andrew grow stronger. They weathered rumors and awkward stares, leaning on each other when insecurities flared. Lily came to realize that this was what real relationships involved: trust, patience, and a willingness to face the ugly parts of life together. One sunny afternoon, Andrew invited Lily to see a new building site. His company was expanding, planning to open a research center aimed at developing affordable tech tools for underprivileged schools. He wanted Lily's opinion on the design and location. She agreed, excited to glimpse a different side of his work. They drove out to a suburban area where an old warehouse stood, soon to be renovated into a modern facility. Andrew led her through the space, explaining how they would convert the rooms, install labs, and create open spaces for collaboration. Lily listened with awe. This was where Andrew truly shone, sharing his vision with passion. After touring the site, they sat on a bench near a half-dug foundation. The sky was wide and blue above them. Andrew wrapped an arm around Lily's shoulders, drawing her close. They talked about the future, about what this center could mean for kids who had very few resources. Lily turned to him, her eyes reflecting admiration. "You're doing something amazing," she said. "Sometimes, I think I can't believe I'm close to a man who has the power to change so many lives." Andrew lowered his gaze with a modest chuckle. "I'm just one person," he said. "None of this is possible without a whole team." "And you," he trailed off, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. "You've changed my life in ways I never saw coming." A sweet hush fell over them. Lily felt her heart pound, a flutter of anticipation building inside her. "Andrew," she began, not sure what she wanted to say. Perhaps she wanted to confess how deeply she cared for him, how she believed he was transforming her life, too. He leaned in, his eyes locked with hers. "I love you, Lily," he said, voice steady yet filled with emotion. "You've made me realize there's more to success than money and achievements. With you, I feel whole." Tears shimmered in her eyes. She felt a rush of warmth flood her chest. "I love you too," she whispered, her voice cracking slightly. "Thank you for believing in me, even when I doubted myself." Andrew smiled, relief and joy crossing his face. He kissed her softly, a tender promise under the bright sunlight, with the promise of a new horizon behind them. From that day on, their bond grew even deeper. They settled into a comfortable pattern meeting after work for dinner, spending weekends exploring hidden corners of the city, or simply staying in to watch movies. Lily introduced Andrew to her closest friends, and he tried to learn all their names and interests. In return, Andrew involved Lily more in his projects, asking for her honest input on outreach strategies for schools. She felt valued, seen as more than just his girlfriend. Over time, Lily's self-assurance strengthened. She no longer flinched when tabloids mentioned her. She focused on her relationship with Andrew and their shared goals. While she was still just an office assistant by day, she found meaning in using her free time to volunteer with the charity Andrew supported. She and Hannah even set up a small fundraiser at their local community center, raising awareness about the needs of underfunded schools. As time passed, Andrew knew he wanted to take the next step. He planned a short trip for them, a weekend getaway to a quiet coastal town. Lily was thrilled at the idea of relaxing by the sea, away from the noise of the city. They drove out on a Friday evening, checking into a cozy bed and breakfast that overlooked the ocean. The weekend was magical. They strolled along the shore, letting waves lap at their feet. They woke up early to watch the sunrise, Andrew's arm wrapped securely around Lily's waist as the sky blazed with pink and orange. They tried fresh seafood at a local diner, laughing over their attempts to crack open crab shells. On their final night, Andrew led Lily to a secluded spot on the beach. The moon shone bright, reflecting on the water's surface. A gentle breeze caressed Lily's hair. Andrew took her hands, his face serious, yet warm. "Lily," he said quietly, "I've been thinking about us for a long time. I never want to be without you. You've stood by me through public scrutiny, faced insults, and even slapped someone who tried to come between us." He gave a small grin at that memory, which made Lily blush. "But through everything, your heart stayed kind. You made me believe in love again." She felt tears prick her eyes, and her heart pounded in anticipation. Andrew reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Lily's breath caught in her throat. He opened it, revealing a simple, elegant ring. A single diamond sparkled in the moonlight. "Will you marry me?" Andrew asked. Lily's eyes flooded with tears. She nodded, unable to speak for a moment. Finally, she found her voice.
"Yes," she breathed.
"Yes, of course." Andrew slid the ring onto her finger, then sealed the moment with a heartfelt kiss. Lily clung to him, the salty breeze swirling around them. She felt a rush of pure joy, a sense that life had led her through many trials, only to bring her here, into the arms of the man she loved. They returned to the city as an engaged couple, full of fresh excitement. Margaret was overjoyed at the news, insisting on throwing them a small engagement party. Hannah squealed with delight, teasing Lily about her whirlwind romance. Even Lily's co-workers expressed genuine congratulations. Some had been skeptical at first, but over time they saw how real Lily and Andrew's bond was. Wedding planning began, and though Andrew could have afforded the most luxurious event, Lily wanted something more down-to-earth. They settled on a beautiful garden venue just outside the city. Guests would include family, close friends, and a few business associates who had become genuine supporters of their union. Lily wanted the day to reflect their journey, a mix of simple roots and big dreams. When the wedding day arrived, the sun shone brightly across the green lawns. Rows of white chairs faced a wooden arch draped in soft pastel flowers. Lily wore a graceful ivory gown, her hair pinned back with small blossoms. She stood at the end of the aisle, heart pounding as music began to play. Andrew waited for her under the arch, dressed in a tailored suit, his eyes brimming with love the moment he saw her. She walked toward him, every step a reminder of how far they had come. From the day she could not afford a simple locket, to the wild moment she slapped Emily, to their late-night confessions of love it, led them here. Andrew reached out, taking her hand in his, and together they exchanged vows filled with heartfelt promises. In front of their loved ones, Lily and Andrew sealed their marriage with a tender kiss. Applause broke out, echoing across the garden. Lily felt tears slip down her cheeks, this time tears of sheer happiness. Andrew pressed his forehead against hers, smiling so widely it made her heart soar. They walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, greeted by laughter, cheers, and flower petals tossed in celebration. The reception that followed was joyful and intimate. Speeches, toasts, and warm embraces filled the afternoon. They danced their first dance as a married couple under the soft glow of fairy lights. In that moment, Lily realized that every trial, every moment of doubt, had been worth it. She had found a love that stood strong against gossip, insecurities, and old ghosts from the past. At the end of the evening, Andrew and Lily drove away in a modest car, waving goodbye to friends and family. As they headed off to start their new life together, Lily nestled her head against Andrew's shoulder. The ring on her finger sparkled softly. She thought of all the tears, all the arguments, and that one public slap she never imagined she would deliver. Yet, here they were, two hearts joined in a bond that no rumor or social barrier could break. Lily felt Andrew's lips brush her forehead. "I love you, Mrs. Hamilton," he whispered, eyes shining with warmth. She smiled, eyes closed, feeling safe, cherished, and ready to begin forever with him. "I love you more," she whispered back. And in the quiet hush of that starry night, they both knew this was only the beginning of a lifetime of hope and happiness together.